Hi, I'm Mike Henry, and this is my Procreate 4.2 demo for the piece I call Updo. So I posted this a while ago now. I'm just barely catching up with my YouTube videos because I had a bunch of pieces banked away, and then I got sick and really busy. Not seriously sick, just like couldn't record because my voice was crap sick. And so now I'm finally starting to catch up with these. So if you saw this posted a long time ago and you're just now seeing the video and you're like, I feel like I saw this video. You actually didn't, but you did see the piece a long time ago. So this is a quick one and it's fairly simplistic. Let's get through it pretty quick here. I'll start explaining it. Here's the rough sketch. It's drawn with the fat pencil, which I'm going to do an updated video on the fat pencil just for so that it matches all the newest UI from Procreate. So you can see the rough gets banged in there, and now on this next stage, the sort of next rough, the cleaner rough, you can see that I'm altering the perspective of her face a bit. She was in total profile, and now I'm using that profile to inform a slight 3/4 view, just so that we could see a little bit more of her face and a little bit more of her expression. There's really actually not much more to say at this stage. This whole thing was done very quickly. I had just done something that was really rendered, and I wanted to do something that I could just sort of knock out and enjoy and relax. So that's where she came from. It's sort of simple subject matter, just a woman standing there, and I decided to go with this like really quick line. So now that the rough sketch is all done, you'll see that the actual line work that I'm using, there's not a lot of refinement to it. There's not a lot of working of it. It's me just sort of, doing the line quickly and cleanly and then moving on. And that was sort of just what I thought would be really fun to do for this. In fact, that informs the coloring process as well, which I decided to go with a messier coloring process, but a simple, cleaner. It's messy but clean in the sense that it's clean. There's not a whole lot going on. There's not a lot for me to manage as an artist, and there's not a lot to pull apart as a viewer. But it's messy in the sense that it's made to look kind of hasty and not like I labored over it, basically. I thought this was just fun to do, this sort of hatching to shade in the hair. I liked that it was like geometric, and that was really fun, so you'll probably see some of that come back again. It's almost like a simpler version of what I was doing with like the Sketch Bomb redesign and the Mr. Peepers redesign, where it was like all this like, the form was driven by the shading. Although, to be honest, the shading here is a little agnostic of the form. It's more just alternating directions just to make it fun. So you'll see that her earring there is done with just a line. This is in the spirit of making everything simpler and kind of just what it needs to be, I guess you could say. I mean, that's like a really weird way to say it, but everything in this piece is just what it needs to be. It's not overly thought about or overly considered. So now that that earring is in, and the lines are there, it sort of sets the tone for the rest of this. I think I ended up using the marker to do the flats here, which come in really quickly, and you can see that they go way past the lines because I had the idea of going back over it with a white to to eliminate the excess area. So see there, I'll clean it up where it overlaps another part of her flats because I didn't want the colors to shine through. All of the colors on this are set to a multiply so that we can pick up that undersketch, that pink undersketch. And then here I'm going in with the dry ink brush and just painting white on top of everything to pull it back, but make sure I'm leaving some of that messiness there. I also in a second here will duplicate the lines and color shift them, and then also scoot them a little left or right. It's not actually trying to do chromatic aberration, although it has a little bit of that feel. It was more just to add some cooler aspects to it, something that made it a little interesting. In the very end, I'll do sort of like a major stages recap, that way you can see that. So here's me using the fat pencil again to do the blush. That's me sort of like testing it out and playing with it. I actually from here on out use the fat pencil for everything. So the fat pencil is used for the lines and the earring, since it's basically a line, and then I use it here for the blush. I use it for the eyeshadow. I basically use it for everything here on out. I think there's a little bit of a bloom that I do where I just blur something, but otherwise it's all fat pencil. So now here's the rim light that's coming from behind her, and this is again just fat pencil set to white. At the very end of all of this, I put a really subtle color adjustment on the entire thing. I just put a color layer that's almost like this really pale sea foam, and that's just to sort of give the whole thing a slight off-white, slight coloration to it, so that it doesn't feel too clean. I just wanted to bring it slightly in a direction. So that was me right there just playing with a highlight, and I decided that the highlight isn't really what I want, but the shadow is what I want. So here I'm putting in the shadow, again, fat pencil, and keeping it really light, just so that she reads cleanly. It's sort of more animation look, so that everything doesn't go too dark. It's more just sitting in that higher value overall, except for the lines, which are used for lots of structure. The shadow is also a more desaturated version than what you usually see me do. I usually use like a purpley gray when I'm doing this kind of stuff. It's much more gray for this because I wanted to keep the visual complexity down, because I was going to have some of this messiness and the whole thing I wanted to just kind of read simply. So you can see right there, that was the duplication of the lines, and actually the piece is going to wrap up here in like just a second, so there's some last minute highlights in there. So here's the final piece. Let's go through the major stages pretty quickly though, so you can see. So super rough sketch, which I leave in all the way to the end, and then this is what it looks like with those two colored lines next to each other. Here's with then the final lines on top of all of that. Here are the multiplied flats, and then the last bit of effects. So this was a really quick one, but it's a really light piece as far as techniques go. It's really just about more sort of, I guess, interesting decisions than it is complex techniques. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one. And if you're looking for me on the internet, these are the places where you can find me.